Hi, everybody. It's Deborah from peoplelovinganimals.com. Thank you for stopping in to watch my video. Today, we're going to be talking about how to get a cat to use the litter box and how to stop your cat from peeing everywhere. This is from my website, peoplelovinganimals.com. It's an article I've written on the topic. I'm going to share this with you, and I'm also going to share a couple of more articles that will help you with the same issue of how to get your cat to use the litter box. You'll see on my website I have several, actually hundreds of articles for topics regarding cat training, dog training, puppy training, pet care, pet health, information about pet supplies and medications. This, hopefully, my website is a good resource for you to be able to find help with the issues that you might be having with your dog or cat. So again, thanks for visiting. My name is Deborah. Today we're going to be using this article as our guide for our discussion about how to get the cat to use the litter box. Now, I have had cats for more than 30 years. I've had many cats. I've had several litters of kittens, so I've started them litter box training right from the beginning. Now, I've been very lucky in that most of my cats, really all but one actually, did in fact use the litter box, and I just have never had a problem teaching them to use the litter box or getting them to use the litter box. But there are things that I did, and I'll share that with you to make sure that they do use the litter box. And also, I'm going to share ways to find out why they might not be using the litter box. I did have one cat who had a problem, and I will be discussing her in this article. So how to get the cat to use the litter box? Well, first of all, you should know that if your cat will not use the litter box, or if they've always used the litter box and they all of a sudden won't anymore, there's a reason. Cats instinctively prefer to go to the bathroom in a litter box type situation. They naturally do like to go to a place where they can, pee in the dirt and bury it, kind of thing. So, if they don't want to go in the litter box, it's kind of odd. And normally if there's a litter box, they'll use it. So if they're not using it, there's a reason. I do talk about a little bit in the article here about teaching kittens to use a litter box. And I can tell you, all I did, I had several litters of kittens. First of all, they always have their mom that's kind of, they're going to follow mom's lead. But what I would do is I would start with a little pie tin, and I would just put like a handful or two of kitty litter in there, and then just keep placing the kitten in the pie tin with the litter. Now, what happens first is they play in it. All they do is play in it. And then occasionally they'll pee while they're in there, and then they're rolling around in the pee, and then they stink. And, it's just, part of being a kitten, that's what they do. But what happens is if you keep placing them in the little pie tin with just a little bit of litter in there, they're going to get used to being in there. They're going to be comfortable in there. And then they're occasionally going to pee or poop while they're in there. And then they're going to learn that they can pee and poop in there and that they can bury it in there. And like I said, that's their natural instinct. So that's what I always did when I had a litter of kittens, is I would just have a little pie tin and I would start placing the kitten in there. And, let them play in there if that's what they're going to do, but just get them used to being in that kitty litter. And that's all I ever had to do. And then, obviously when they get older, you start putting them in the big litter box. And, as long as they know where that litter box is, they do catch on. Okay. So that's how I did it. Now, if your cat will not use a litter box, or most importantly, if they've always used a litter box and suddenly they don't want to anymore, the first thing to do is to check for a medical problem. Now, let me tell you about my one cat. She actually lived for 20 years. I had her a long, long time. She was a beautiful, beautiful black and white cat. I loved her so much. Well, she, went in the litter box for 15 years, never had a problem, although she was the one who wouldn't go in it if it wasn't clean. And I'll get to that further in the article. She was the one that was sensitive kitty. Her litter box had to be clean in order for her to go in it. But all of a sudden, she started peeing on the bath mat. It started with that, where all of a sudden she's peeing on the bath mat. And I thought it was just so weird. And I would keep cleaning her litter box and say, what's the problem? I hadn't changed the litter, couldn't figure it out. Well, long story short, I took her to the vet, and it turns out she had a medical problem. And it wasn't just a simple, like a urinary tract infection. She ended up having a bladder crystal, and she needed to have surgery and have that removed. But Urinary tract infections are very common in cats. And if they have a urinary tract infection, or in my cat's case, she actually had a bladder crystal, or if they had a kidney stone, anything having to do with the urinary tract, it's going to hurt when they pee. Okay. Now, my vet explained to me that my cat, because it hurt when she peed, she thought it had something to do with the litter box. She's like, I'm not going to pee there. It hurts. Do you see what I mean? So she was going around and she was peeing in other areas of the house, trying to find a place to pee where it didn't hurt. You see, in their little kitty brain, they don't understand. All they know is they go and they pee in the litter box and it's pain. And so they try to go pee someplace else. Okay. That's the way my vet explained it to me. So the very first thing to do is to take them to the vet and have them checked for a medical condition. And it's not that expensive and it's not that terrible. Usually they take a little urine, and or they take blood, or they take urine, and they can see if there's an infection, and it might be just simple antibiotics, and the infection clears up and they're happy to go back in the litter box again. Hopefully it wouldn't be a serious condition like my cat ended up having to have surgery. But regardless, it is a serious symptom. It's a serious symptom when a cat all of a sudden won't go in the litter box. Okay, so please always make sure you take them to the vet first and make sure there's not a problem. Also, like I was talking about, make sure the litter box is clean. Now, the same cat that I told you about, she would not use the litter box if it wasn't clean. And what she would do is she would poop on the floor next to the litter box. Well, luckily for me, most of her life, her litter box was in the basement. So it wasn't too terrible. At least it wasn't happening on my living room floor. But I did have to keep her litter box clean. All the other cats I had, nobody was sensitive like her, but she was sensitive. She wanted her litter box to be clean. Now, when I'm talking about keeping the litter box clean, here's what I'm talking about. I had just a scoop, kitty pooper scooper, litter box scoop, and I would keep plastic bags, small plastic bags next to the litter box. And every other day, I would scoop the litter box. Okay, and I would always get scoopable cat litter. And every other day, I would scoop the litter box. All right. And then at the end of the week, I would dump the litter box, wash the litter box with soap and water, and then refill it with fresh cat litter. Okay, so if you're one of these people that has one of these litter boxes that is mounded with cat shit, I'm sorry, but I don't mean to be crude, but that's disgusting. It's not good for your cat, and no wonder they won't go in the litter box. Honestly, you gotta clean the litter box. And what I did, like I said, is I scooped it every other day. And then, so that kind of kept it clean throughout the week. And then at the end of the week, I would dump it, wash it with soap and water, and put clean litter in. Now, if you really, really can't stand to clean the litter box, or if you don't have time to clean the litter box, or if it makes you want to barf, okay, because I know it can be hard. I had the stomach for it, but not everybody does. You can get a self-cleaning litter box. And I put a link in this article here. By the way, this article that we're using for this video, I'm going to give you a link in the description box of this video where you can go and you can read this article. So you'll be able to get to these links and you'll be able to read more of the details about what we're talking about here. So I do give you a link for a self-cleaning litter box. Now, I can tell you I did purchase one once. Now, I would suggest if you're going to buy a self-cleaning litter box, spend the extra money and get a good one. I didn't. I got a cheap one. It clogged up all the time, and it was kind of ended up being a bigger pain than it was worth. So if you're going to do that, spend a little extra money and get a nice one so you're not having problems with it. Now, it did work, and what it does is it has like these teeth that come through the litter box and scoops it out into a tray at the bottom, and then you dump the tray. They're actually pretty good, but also keep in mind that it may scare your cat, because what happens is they have motion detectors in them, and so the cat goes in there and the self-cleaning litter box can detect the motion, and then when the cat steps out of the litter box, the motor starts up and this thing starts cleaning. Well, you want to see a cat sticking to the ceiling. I shouldn't laugh, it's not funny, but it scared my cat. Now, luckily it didn't scare her so much that she wasn't willing to go back into the litter box, but just keep in mind that it might startle your cat a little, and you might have to kind of nurse that situation so the cat doesn't become afraid of the litter box, and then they won't use it for that reason. But there is such a thing as a self-cleaning litter box, and I've given you a link here to go ahead and check some out. Also consider what type of litter you're using. There's a couple of things. First of all, you don't have to spend a lot of money on cat litter. This is the one I always used, Arm& Hammer. It was always the best. It was good at eliminating odors. It was scoopable, and I always found it to be not only the cheapest, but the best. This was just the one that I stuck with for years and years, and you can get the big box, and I don't know, it's inexpensive. So I do give you a link in the article to go ahead and purchase that one. The other thing you may want to do is you may be tempted to go with a scented cat litter, but I'm going to tell you not to for two different reasons. One reason is I firmly believe, because I've tried them, if you get a scented cat litter, you end up with the smell of scented cat shit. I'm sorry to be crude, but that's what it is. In my article, I say if all you end up with is lavender scented cat piss. I'm sorry, but it's just an icky smell because the fragrance doesn't eliminate the odor, it just masks it. And then you've got this mix of cat urine or poop and this fragrance, and it's disgusting. You're better off just getting an inexpensive one like Arm& Hammer. It uses baking soda to eliminate the odor. Okay. The other reason I'm going to tell you not to use a scented cat litter is because a lot of cats are sensitive to fragrance. They don't like it. It might make them nauseous or sick, and it's to them in their little kitty brain, it's just not natural. They're not going to prefer it. So why take a chance, you know? And also, you may consider, if your cat's not using the litter box, consider the litter that you're using. You know, have you changed the litter, or are you all of a sudden using a fragrance one? Okay, these are some things that might be the reason why they're not using the litter box. You also might try a different litter box. Now look at this fancy schmancy one here. I actually had this litter box for years and years in my apartment, and I can tell you, it looks like a houseplant. I had it in the corner, and this is the opening here for the cats to go in. I had the opening facing the corner so that nobody could see into the litter box. You couldn't even see that it was a litter box. It just looked like a house plant. It looks like a potted plant in the corner. And then my cats would go around back and they would go in it. Now, this was particularly good for that same sensitive kitty that I'm talking about. She liked privacy, and a lot of cats do like privacy. So this is a nice one for that because they can go around the corner, do their business, and they're not startled or anything. And nobody ever knew that I even had a litter box. Nobody even knew that I had a litter box. For one thing, I kept it clean, so nobody ever smelled the litter box. Plus, I used the Arm& Hammer cat litter, so nobody ever smelled it, and nobody ever even knew I had a litter box. And my cats seemed to like it. Now, this is a pretty big litter box. There was enough room for my cats to get in there and move around and so forth. Now, there's a couple of things that you want to consider as well. First of all, a lot of cats do prefer an enclosed litter box, one with a lid, and these are the sensitive kitties who like privacy. Also, other cats they don't want to crawl inside something, so they may want an open litter box. And you also have to consider uh, physicalities for your cat. For example, does she have arthritis? Is it an elderly cat with arthritis? Is it hard for her to go into this litter box and step up into it? Like an open litter box, might be easier for an elderly cat. Also, the size of the cat. If your cat is very large, you have to make sure their litter box is big enough for them to get into and be able to turn around in it easily, to be able to scrape to cover their pee. They got to be able to move around in it. So consider all those things. And like I said, if your cat is not wanting to use the litter box, you might want to try a different litter box. Now, in this article, I give you a couple of links. I give you one. You can get an assortment of litter boxes for low prices on Amazon. You can click here and you'll see a bunch of them. And also, if you do happen to like this potted plant one, I give you the link to purchase that one as well. Uh, and I talk a little bit about my little cat, Abigail. She was very sweet. Also consider the location of the litter box. Okay, there's a couple things to consider here. First of all, we talk about, the elderly arthritic cat. Is her litter box in the basement? And all of a sudden she stops using the litter box. Maybe she can't do the stairs anymore. If your cat is overweight, or if your cat is elderly, or if they have some sort of an health issue or some sort of an injury, going up and down the basement stairs is going to be hard for them. You also might consider, if you live in a 2-story house and you have an elderly cat or a cat with some sort of an issue, you may need to have a litter box on both floors. You also need to make sure that the cat can find the litter box, that it's not so well hidden that the cat can't remember where it is. And also, don't change the location of the litter box a lot. Okay, pick a spot and stick to it. And pick a spot that the cat will go to, and then stick to it. Try not to move your litter box around all the time, if you can. If you can help it. And also, what if you have a lazy cat? Or again, what if you have a cat that's getting a little older? If their litter box is 5 miles away and they got to walk down 3 straight flights of stairs and through the garage and past the bikes and everything to get to their litter box, would you want to walk 5 miles every time you have to pee? Do you know what I mean? So it's just one more thing to consider. Consider the location of the litter box. Also, you may need to get more than one litter box. If you have more than one cat, you might need to get more than one litter box. Some cats will not share. Some won't. They simply won't go in the litter box because another cat is in there. And especially if you bring a new cat into the house, one or both of those cats might not use the litter box because they refuse to share. And also, if the litter box has been dirtied by one cat, then the other may not go because that cat just peed in it. Do you know what I mean? So you may consider that if you have more than one cat, that you might have to get more than one litter box. Also, conflict between cats. Cats can be very territorial, and they might actually just fight about it. So, again, if you have that sort of issue with the cats in your house, you may have to get 2 litter boxes. In this article, you'll see there's a couple of links here. One is how to stop cats from fighting, and the other is how to break up a cat fight. So if you do have a problem with kitties in your house not getting along, I would suggest going to these articles. And again, I'm giving you a link to this article in the description box, so you'll be able to get in here and get to these links. Also, it's important to clean up the mess. Obviously, if your cat does pee someplace else, you need to clean it up with a pet stain and odor remover. Okay, not just like soap and water. I'm giving you a link here to buy one. This one is inexpensive and effective. You do have to get one that's specifically made to eliminate pet odors, because if they pee on the rug or somewhere and you don't clean it up and eliminate the odor, they're gonna be tempted to go back to that same spot again and again. So it is important that you use a pet stain remover. Now, before we get to the end of this article, I want to tell you a couple things. I'm going to give you the link to this article in the description box for this website. I'm also going to give you a link to another article on my website. This one is called How to Stop Your Cat from Urinating on the Bed. Now, this is going to talk about a lot of the same issues that might be going on that's causing your cats to do this, but it also talks a little bit more in detail about that particular issue. And I'm also going to give you a link to this article, How to Get Your Cat to Stop Peeing on the Carpet. Again, we're going to talk about some of the same issues that we've discussed here, that the cat might have a medical issue and so forth. But we're going to talk about things like chemical attraction and so forth, psychological stress. It's just more information. Okay. So go ahead and, click on the link to the article in this, the description box for this video, and you'll be able to see these articles on my website, and you'll also be able to see a whole lot more. Now, if you're looking for things specifically for cats, you can go to my menu over here, go under cat training, and you're going to find several articles about several different issues having to do with cats. Also, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and sign up for my cat lovers email list. I have 2 for my website. One is for dog lovers, one is for cat lovers. And by the way, when you go to my website, you'll get a pop-up to go ahead and sign up for my mailing lists. But in the description box for this particular video, I will give you the link to go ahead and sign up for my cat lovers email list. And it contains hundreds of articles and videos that have to do with issues involving cats and how to help you with your cat. And so it's really valuable. And I do would like to ask you to share this video, share these articles, share my website if you have a fellow cat lover or dog lover that is having any sort of issue with their animal. I would appreciate it if you would refer them here to my YouTube channel and to my website, peoplelovinganimals.com. The last thing I want to mention, and then I'm going to shut up and let you go, is that I donate to animal charities. I do make commissions on my website for the products and services that I recommend to people while I'm discussing any particular problem. I do make commissions on those. It's how I make a living. It's how I'm able to create this website and have this website as my full-time job. This is what I do for a living. I do make commissions. So I give 10% of all the commissions I make on this website to animal charities. And when you get to my article, you can click here and this will take you to my homepage of my website where you can see a list of the animal charities that I donate to. So it's my way of helping animals. It's my way of donating and helping animals in need. And so for that reason as well, I'm asking you to please share it with your friends, because if they're going to buy products and services having to do with their dog or cat, 10% of that might as well go to an animal charity, right? So again, this is my website, peoplelovinganimals.com. I hope so much that you can get to the bottom of the issue of why your cat is not using the litter box. I hope that I've given you the solution here. Please try to be patient with your kitty. Please know that they want nothing more than to please you. They aren't doing it on purpose. They aren't doing it out of spite. They aren't doing it because you're mad. They're mad you're at work all day. It's just not true. There's reasons, and hopefully we've covered them all here, and hopefully you'll be able to get to the bottom of the issue and find out why, and live happily ever after with your little kitty cat. They're precious, precious gifts, and I hope that I've helped. I hope that I've helped. Again, my name is Deborah. Thanks so much for visiting. Bye-bye.